Hi, my name is David Fleming from Disciples Ignited, a ministry that's focused on Jesus, advancing his kingdom, and preparing his disciples. Now, we've been studying about the manna that the Lord sent the Israelites after they got into the wilderness on their way to the promised land. Today, we're going to be studying a very interesting lesson that tells us that the Lord heard the prayers of the Israelites when they came up with a need that they didn't have any food to eat, and they began to cry out to the Lord for meat. They said, Lord, we had meat to eat in Egypt, and that's what we want now. Well, the Lord answered their prayer. But listen to this. In answer to their prayer, the Lord gave the Israelites meat before he gave them manna. Listen to this. We read about it in Numbers chapter 11, verse 31. Now a wind went out from the Lord and drove quail in from the sea. It scattered them up to 2 cubits deep all around the camp. That is about 3 feet all around the camp, as far as a day's walk in any direction. All that day and night and all the next day, the people went out and gathered quail. No one gathered less than 10 homers. Some Bible scholars believe that that is over a ton for each person. That's a lot of quail, y'all. And why did God do that? The Israelites asked for it. They said, Lord, we want meat. Give us meat. Well, they did a lot of complaining and grumbling too, not just praying. In fact, they started grumbling and complaining first, and then the Lord heard their grumbling, the Lord heard their cries, the Lord heard their desires that they wanted meat, just like they had in Egypt. And the Lord gave them what they wanted. But we also learned that they had so much quail, it made them sick. And it also brought about God's judgment because of the whole way that the Israelites went about this. It made the judgment of God come upon them. But it was all because the Israelites were set on having their way instead of learning the lessons that the Lord was trying to teach them. He was trying to teach them to let him be first in their lives and to trust in him in everything. When they didn't have any meat to eat, what did they do? They grumbled, they complained. And the Lord heard their cry for meat, and he gave it to them. But instead, they should have said, Lord, you know what we need. We've got to have food to eat. So, Lord, provide us with your very best. And what was his best? Something that they'd never had before. Bread from heaven. You know, there have been times that I prayed for the Lord to give me certain things that I really wanted. And he did. And it wasn't long after he answered my prayer that I thought, man, I wish the Lord hadn't have answered this prayer. This is not meeting the real need of my life. We learn from this. The Lord knows what we need. He also hears what we want. And sometimes if we press those prayers of what we want instead of calmly asking the Lord, Lord, this is what I want, but what do you want from me? The Lord always knows best. He knows what we want, but even better, he knows what we need. And it's so much better to receive from the Lord that which he wants to give us and that which we need instead of just pressing in for what we want. That's a lesson that the Lord teaches us from the manna. But there's so many more things to learn about what the Lord did when he sent bread from heaven to the Israelites. So join me tomorrow and we'll learn another lesson. I'll see you then.